The King's Avatar, Chapter 1233 Thunderclap's Secret Weapon. Audio source, WurshaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1233, Thunderclap's Secret Weapon. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. After the early season ended, all sorts of twists and turns started appearing. Blue Rain, Wind Howl, Misty Rain, and Void, these powerhouses all experienced different degrees of setbacks. In comparison, Tyranny, who had a disappointing start, stayed firm in this smoke-filled battlefield. Tyranny had only obtained 47 points in the first 8 rounds, tying with 100 Blossoms for 7th and 8th place, right at the edge of the playoff zone. But in their next 7 rounds, Tyranny obtained 58 points. Not only did their performance not decline, it went up. Of course, a part of that was because Tyranny's opponents weren't that strong. However, facing these mediocre opponents, Tyranny won quite a few 10-0s and 9-1s. The points they should have gotten were gotten. That was the sort of air they gave off. On the rankings, they had quietly climbed to 3rd place. Placed AEAD of them was Tiny Herb with 106 points. They had the same consistency as Tyranny, rarely losing points against weak teams. However, against strong teams, Tiny Herb faltered. The other top 5 teams, Samsara, Blue Rain, Tyranny, Thunderclap, could bump into Tiny Herb in the regular season, the playoffs, or the finals. But in these 15 rounds, Tiny Herb always lost to these 4 teams, whether it was their home or away game. If you said that Tiny Herb's strength didn't belong there, then that would be false. If you looked closely, you would see that in these 4 rounds, the final point tally was always 4-6. This meant that Tiny Herb always won 2 individual competition rounds and the group arena, but lost in the team competition. If Tiny Herb had won the team competition, their matches against these 4 teams would have been 9-1. Team competition. Tiny Herb's weakness seemed to be obvious. It looked like there was something stopping them in the team competition, stopping them from beating the top teams. From the statistics, people discovered another surprising fact. Tiny Herb had yet to lose a group arena. Even in their 2-8 match against Void, their points had been through the group arena. Apart from Tiny Herb, no one else had achieved such a feat this season. The strengths and weaknesses of many teams had been exposed. While everyone was discussing these enthusiastically, they could not ignore Happy's existence. Samsara had never lost the team competition, Tiny Herb had never lost the group arena. As for Happy, one person had never lost an individual round. Yishu. He had retired, returned, and then switched classes, but his performances on stage were as eye-catching as ever. After getting swept 0-10 in round 1 against Samsara, Yishu started playing in the individual competition, becoming a stabilizing piece for Happy. From then on, no matter if it was a loss, this 1 point had never left Happy's pockets. Before, Yishu had always stayed hidden, never appearing on camera. After returning to the scene, even though he wasn't particularly great for the media, he at least didn't completely avoid them, though it was hard to say if that was a curse or a blessing. Another week quickly passed, and 12/20 welcomed the Glory Pro League's 16th round. The most hyped match was Happy vs Thunderclap. The 2 most surprising teams this season were chosen without question as the highlight match. Thunderclap was in 4th place with 104 points, while Happy was in 6th place with 98 points, a difference of only 6 points. This round was Happy's home game. If they did a good job, they could pass Thunderclap in just 1 round. But if they wanted to do a good job, beating Thunderclap in the team competition was necessary. Up until now, Thunderclap had only lost to Royal Style in the team competition. In all of their other matches, they always won the team competition. Even down 5-0, they had won, tying the score. And that a team they had tied was Team Blue Rain, who had the master tactician, Yu Wenzu. Just how mysterious were Thunderclap's team tactics? Many people were curious and had even studied this issue. At the moment, opinions differed, and when Seo Shichen was interviewed, he simply smiled and gave 3 words as a reply: believe in yourself. What was that supposed to mean? Was that his philosophy? Was that the way to a psychological win? Not many approved of his reply, so everyone continued to analyze Thunderclap's mysterious tactics. Confrontations between master tacticians were always the best research material, so this match would bring in more valuable data. Happy's Yishu may be the current 1v1 king with a 14-round win streak, but don't forget that this old general was also one of the 4 master tacticians. You guys are doing well. Back at you. After a quick greeting, the 2 teams went to their own sides. As the 2 most surprising teams this season, each knew how the other felt. Thunderclap's captain, Seo Shichen, could be considered as having the deepest impression of Happy before the season. He had fought against Happy in a bitter struggle in the Challenger League. In particular, the group arena 1v3 had nearly killed Happy's heart, but in the end, Happy was the one to have the last laugh. Excellence Hero lost in the Challenger League finals, and Seo Shichen, who had risked everything to run to the Challenger League in hopes of a better future, looked like an idiot. There had been no lack of mockery thrown at him. Seo Shichen should hate Happy very much, no. This was also a popular pre-match topic. As a result, as soon as the broadcast started, the camera zoomed in on Seo Shichen, hoping to catch something, especially during the greetings between the 2 teams on stage before the match. The camera spent nearly 70% of the time focused on Seo Shichen's face. When Seo Shichen shook Yishu's hand, the cameras locked tightly onto him. The crowd fixed their eyes on his expression and held their breath. Murderous spirit. Let's see some murderous spirit. The drama-loving people hoped to see some sparks. But all they saw a very normal and warm smile. He's hiding it well. The drama-loving people didn't believe that Seo Shichen bore no hatred towards Happy. Since they couldn't see any murderous spirit on him, that must mean Seo Shichen was hiding it. Afterwards, even when Seo Shichen was just wiping his glasses, his actions were interpreted in all sorts of ways. It was like everyone suddenly became body language experts. The individual competition began, and Happy's first player would be Yishu again. Everyone knew that Yishu always went out first. In that case, it was easy to come up with a strategic plan to counter him. But did that matter? Yishu's 14 consecutive wins was the best answer. It didn't matter. Even if you knew Yishu would be the first player sent up and prepared a countermeasure, it was no use. The winner would still be Yishu. Was that because the ace players defended the group arena for those 2 points instead of 1? These were some people's opinions, and it was a valid reason. However, arranging the lineups was up to every team. If you're going to send your ace player for the group arena, then who are you to blame for not getting that 1 point in an individual round? This sort of perspective had a bit of sour grapes feeling to it. As for Thunderclap, who would they send? Thunderclap performed spectacularly in team competitions, but in the individual competition and group arena, their performances weren't too noteworthy. Apart from Seo Shichen, no one else in their team was particularly eye-catching. They probably didn't have anyone for Yishu, right? A name popped onto the screen. WushAWorldAudio.com. Thunderclap's first player in the individual competition was Mi Shuyuan. Not a sound could be heard. Everyone looked at Seo Shichen, and then started whispering to each other. Mi Shuyuan. Who was that? The crowd was discussing this question. The reporters were hastily looking at their data. On the broadcast, Pan Lin had been predicting who Thunderclap would send onto the stage, and when the answer was revealed, he said, "Ah, so it's Mi Shu-yuan." Quote, after that came silence. He was also caught off guard. Who the fuck was this? Mi Shu-yuan? A new rookie this season? Li Yibo was flipping through his data as he said earnestly. He had a, in the end, nothing can trouble this senior, look on his face. Before, it seems like. Pan Lin was also looking through his data. He's never appeared on stage before. Quote, he finally confirmed it. Yes, Li Yibo said. But this round, facing Happy and the 1v1 King Yishu, Thunderclap sent him up. Pan Lin's voice started rising. Yes. Why? Could he be a secret weapon? Pan Lin said. The camera zoomed in onto this rookie, who was pulled aside by Captain Seo Shichen. The two people looked in one direction. The camera followed their line of sight to Yishu. Seo Shichen is personally giving him instructions. What has he come up with to beat Yishu? Yes, let's look at Mi Shu-yuan. His class. Assassin. Could he be looking for a one-hit kill? Pan Lin started displaying his imagination. Seo Shichen finally finished talking with Mi Shu-yuan. The young player stepped onto his first match on stage. This was truly an amazing first appearance on stage. The broadcast gave him quite a few close-ups. Everyone instantly took note of this new Thunderclap rookie. He was the secret weapon prepared for Yishu. Everyone thought to themselves. They sucked in a deep breath of air and looked forward to the match. After 3 minutes 42 seconds, Mi Shu-yuan returned to his seat, accounting for about 2 minutes to walk to his player booth and then about 1 minute to walk back to his seat. This match took precisely 58 seconds, not even a minute. Mi Shu-yuan lost. There were no hidden killing moves nor a one-hit kill. The two players loaded into the small 1v1 map chosen by Yishu and then quickly came across each other. Ping ping pong pong, Mi Shu-yuan's assassin died. Secret weapon, a super killing move. The entire world wanted to laugh. End chapter.
The King's Avatar, Chapter 1235. Individual rounds. Audio source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 1235. Individual rounds. Translator, Gnome Yummy. Editor, Gnome Yummy. Commentating Happy's matches is truly filled with opportunities and challenges. Pan Lin sighed endlessly. There never seemed to be a lack of topics, and it was always full of traps. Of course this time, it wasn't Happy's fault. Mi Shu-yuan was from Thunderclap. However, Thunderclap's opponent was Happy, so Pan Lin's first thought was to focus on Happy. Fortunately, Pan Lin's remark had only been a hopeful guess, not a serious analysis, so it didn't result in too embarrassing of a situation. Pan Lin could already feel a premonition creeping into his heart though. The broadcast still gave Mi Shu-yuan more than enough camera time. Losing an individual round in less than a minute was very embarrassing for a pro player. But when the cameras locked onto Mi Shu-yuan, he looked calm. After he returned to his seat, the entire Thunderclap team even stood up and clapped their hands to welcome him. Dai Yanqi even rubbed Mi Shu-yuan's head roughly as if she were a big sis despite only being a third-year rookie. It looks like Thunderclap gave up on beating Yishu, so they just sent up a rookie to gain some experience. Li Yibo carefully observed for a while before speaking up. I don't know how much experience a less than 1 minute loss is going to bring to a player. Pan Lin said. His words carried a slight sting to it. He clearly wasn't happy with Thunderclap's methodology. As for whether he was unhappy with Thunderclap's arrangements, or because Mi Shu-yuan didn't turn out to be a secret weapon, no one knew. The match continued. Su Mucheng went after Yishu, while Thunderclap's Feng Shui went after Mi Shu-yuan. Feng Shui was also an assassin. In the end, he was no match for Suma Chung, and Happy won yet another point. 2-0. The crowd riled up. Cries for another 10-0 started echoing around the stadium. But in the third match, Thunderclap unexpectedly sent Xiao Shichen, while Happy sent Mo Fan. Xiao Shichen was famed as a master tactician, but his 1v1 skills weren't weak. In Thunderclap, he was often the anchor for the group arena, but in today's match, he came out in the individual competition. What arrangements had Thunderclap made? Xiao Shichen versus Mo Fan. These two have actually fought before in the Challenger League. At that time, it was in the group arena. Xiao Shichen performed spectacularly that round, winning the group arena with a 1v3. Let's see how their rematch is going to turn out. Pan Lin set the backdrop for the match. The atmosphere that Pan Lin had drawn out for this match didn't end up appearing. Xiao Shichen won with a steady lead against Mo Fan. Pan Lin and Li Yibo didn't know what to say. The match was so dull. What should have happened, happened. That was all there was to it. The emotions of the loser weren't as calm as the match. As Mo Fan walked down from the stage, he didn't have that usual expressionless face. His gaze had stopped on Xiao Shichen. A clear pondering expression showed. After losing twice to the same person, Mo Fan was searching for where the issue lay. Even if there was a difference in strength, competition wasn't just about strength, it was about utilizing that strength. Seeing Mo Fan's attentive expression, Yishu didn't say anything. Once you reached a certain level, improving depended more on yourself. After all, the only person who truly understands you is you yourself. Other people could only help give and clear the clouds. How to beat Xiao Shichen. If Yishu could instruct him on how to do it with just a few words, then pro players would be of little value. With the individual competition finished, Happy led 2-1. A 10-0 was impossible now, and the crowd appeared somewhat downcast. Happy's fans had been spoiled too much by Happy's crazy performances recently. If it wasn't a 10-0, they couldn't feel satisfied. Despite not being a powerhouse, Happy's fans had the same expectations as powerhouses. For the following group arena, Pan Lin and Li Yibo both believed that Happy had an advantage. After all, Thunderclap's players weren't very top-notch. Happy at the very least had Fang Rui as the anchor. In addition, while Tang Ru's image may have been destroyed, her explosiveness hadn't. If nothing surprising comes, Happy's chances should be fairly high. Li Yibo's cautiousness had already reached this point. He was too afraid to even use the word winning, only saying their chances should be fairly high. Fairly high chances didn't mean he thought Happy would definitely win. Li Yibo was truly quite crafty. But in the group arena, no surprises came and Happy won. Pan Lin announced this expected outcome and discovered that he unexpectedly felt a bit bored. What's going on? Am I too used to being slapped by Happy? Am I masochist? Taking advantage of the long break between the team competition and group arena, Pan Lin did a deep self-reflection. In the meanwhile, the two teams were preparing for the following team competition. Something feels off, said Fang Rui. What is it? Yishu said. I don't know. It's just a feeling, Fang Rui said. This scener also feels like something's off. It's too calm, Wei Chen said. It won't be for the team competition, Yishu said. Are you saying they've been saving up their strength? Wei Chen asked. Maybe not saving up strength, but in the individual rounds their strength wasn't very impressive. However, to be so calm despite losing so many points means that they must be incomparably confident in the team competition, Yishu said. Confidence in themselves. Could that actually be the reason for their dominance in the team competition? Fang Rui had evidently seen Xiao Shichen's interview response about Thunderclap's performance this season. Without confidence, there will be a lot of choices that you'll be too afraid to make. The more confident you are, the more options you'll have, and the more variations there will be, Yishu said. Are you talking about Xiao Shichen? He's always been confident, huh? Fang Rui said. His confidence now isn't just in himself, Yishu said. Feng Rui was starting to understand. The others were as well. Everyone subconsciously turned their heads to look at Thunderclap. It turned out that Thunderclap was also looking at them. The two sides made eye contact, and Xiao Shichen gave them a friendly wave. This match is really lacking the gunpowder. Quote, this scene had also been grasped by the cameras, but the broadcast was currently playing ads, so Pan Lin could only say this to himself in private. If his mics were on, saying these words definitely wouldn't be good. He would have to comment on the friendly and peaceful relations between the two teams. This match isn't going to be easy. Everyone, focus. Let's start things slow, Yishu said. He obviously studied all of his opponents, studying the styles of the players and the team's tactical styles. However, Thunderclap, this strong team competition team, was truly difficult to deal with. WuxaWorldAudio.com. Thunderclap was not like Samsara. Samsara's overwhelming momentum was inseparable from the strength of the individual players. The image of the battle god One Autumn Leaf was slowly being transformed. On Samsara, One Autumn Leaf was no longer that unrivaled one. There was another one beside him, Cloud Piercer. Many people had been worried about compatibility issues between Sun Shang and Samsara, but their worries never turned into a reality. And as a result, Samsara's incredible win record came about. Sun Shang and Zhou Zikai were titled as the two No. 1s this season. Two number 1s pointed that the two best players had number 1 characters to go along with them. Possessing this powerful duo, Samsara was able to achieve this perfect win record. But Thunderclap, the individual rounds showed that their players weren't top of the pack. However, their team competition record had 14 wins. Why? Tactics. Thunderclap had always relied on tactics to win. However, their tactics had never brought them to such formidable heights. According to the current public opinions, if Thunderclap could continue their team competition win record, then the 4 master tacticians should be changed. Xiao Shichen should be taken out and given an even greater title. After all, Yishu, Yu Wenzhou, and Zhang Xinjie, whether it was now or before, the chips held in their hands were quite a bit stronger than Xiao Shichen's. Their teams were similar to Samsara. All of them possessed top individual players. It was like a chef cooking food. Yishu, Yu Wenzhou, and Zhang Xinjie had fresh high-quality ingredients and had the skill to turn those ingredients into wonderful dishes. But Xiao Shichen was someone who could take mediocre ingredients and turn them into just as, or perhaps even more delicious dishes. If one looked at it from this perspective, it was obvious who was superior. When these words came out, many agreed with this opinion. However, someone soon pointed out, last season, in the Challenger League, Yishu had taken rotten food and then beat Xiao Shichen, who had outstanding excellent era ingredients. What did that mean? As a result, the other side took this season and brought out Xiao Shichen's matches against Yu Wenzhou and Zhang Xinjie. Thunderclap had won those team competitions. This was also a solid argument. The only remaining uncertainty was Yishu. This time, the ingredients in Yishu's hands were far better than his ingredients back in the Challenger League. The rookies had grown. Su Mucheng and Feng Rui had joined. The team now had 2 all-star characters, and the other characters had improved significantly as well. On the other hand, Thunderclap's roster dimmed in comparison to Su Mucheng and Feng Rui. Their characters were more in line with the gradual step-by-step improvement from not-so-wealthy teams. Yishu's ingredients had vastly improved, while Xiao Shichen's ingredients had diminished in quality compared to excellent era. This time, what would the confrontation between the two sides be like? The start of the match was approaching, and the commentators focused their discussion of this round's team competition on this fight between 2 master tacticians.
Whoever won would become the existence above the 4 master tacticians.
Pan Lin didn't directly say these words, but many people thought of it. Everyone's eyes were focused on the screen as the match began.
The King's Avatar. Chapter 1236 Thunderclaps Aggressive Offense. Audio source, WuxaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1236 Thunderclaps Aggressive Offense. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. The map was War Grasslands, a map divided by rocks and shrubs in a staircase-like arrangement. The spawn points were located on the northeast and southwest corner, and after each side crossed their two-story high platforms, the two teams would meet on a field of grass. It was a map where the two spawn points were relatively close together, and it was often used by teams who liked rushing their opponents. The map restricted more tactical teams to a certain extent because of the close distance. If the offense was launched fast enough, the other side might not have time to set up any tactical formation. Pan Lin quickly introduced the map before the two teams loaded into the map. However, both Thunderclap and Happy were tactic-heavy teams. By choosing this map, who exactly was the one being restricted? The map had been chosen by Happy, and Pan Lin didn't dare try to guess what Happy was planning, so he simply stopped the subject there. After explaining the features of this match, he was done. As for why Happy chose the map, Pan Lin let the viewers guess. He himself wasn't going to open his mouth. Out of consideration, he also didn't toss this hot potato to Li Yibo. Li Yibo noticed his good intentions and gave Pan Lin a smile. A map suitable for a fast offense. As a result, as soon as the teams loaded in, the viewers looked at the two teams spawning, wanting to know which team would take the initiative. "We'll rush them." It was Thunderclap. Xiao Shichen immediately gave the order. Everyone was surprised. Even though Pan Lin and Li Yibo weren't analyzing the situation out loud, anyone who understood glory would have their own thoughts. These two were just afraid of getting their faces slapped. They certainly had their own viewpoints in their mind. From their view, Happy had chosen this map, so the one to rush the opponent should be Happy. However, it was Thunderclap who decisively gave the order as soon as the match began. Thunderclap's players didn't have any objections towards their captain's orders. They immediately went into position and started moving as a whole. Thunderclap had spawned on the northeast corner. This map was split into three-story platforms. Two of these 6 three-story platforms made up the spawn points, while the other 4 were support zones, lined up symmetrically from east to west. The two starting points were linked to their respective east and west support zones by 2-story platforms. The 3-story support zones of the northeast corner and southeast corner were directly linked together by large slopes that met in a grassy area in the center. The 6 3-story high platforms were not directly connected to each other and could only be traveled to through 2-story or ground regions. As a result, the fighting often took place in these 2-story or ground-story regions. Thunderclap wanted to rush, so they didn't take a roundabout path. The team charged out from their 3-story high spawn point directly down towards the grasslands. How close were these spawn points? The answer could be seen right now. As soon as Thunderclap leaped down to the grasslands, they saw Happy also leaping down. The two sides could already see each other. "Yo, nice rush," Yishu typed in the public chat. "Same to you," Xiao Shichen replied. "No, we're moving strategically," said Yishu. "That's a bit of stretch, don't you think?" Xiao Shichen replied. Moving strategically required at least a little bit of covetousness. In this map, if one walked along the 2-story high platforms, the rushing opponents would not be able to see them so quickly. But Happy charging directly towards the grasslands. How was that moving strategically? Unless they thought Thunderclap wouldn't do the standard rush. Rushing isn't your style. Shouldn't you guys be waiting and watching first before coming up with counter-strategies? Yishu said. We can't wait and watch because you guys would also wait and watch. Seo Shichin replied. He hit the nail on the head. Waiting and watching was a part of combat. Another part of it was pre-match preparations, studying the opponent and coming up with countermeasures beforehand. These two teams both had the same tactical style, so when the two confronted each other, it became awkward. To put it simply, the two teams were used to waiting for their opponents to act before they acted. If neither side acted first, then there would be no fight. So, Ye Zhu asked, "So we can only fight?" Seo Shichin said in the public chat. This wasn't a bluff because in the team chat, he clearly gave the order. Go. Thunderclap set out and charged at their opponents. Everyone was shocked. Team Thunderclap had been watched closely this season, but they had never taken the initiative and attacked aggressively. After all, their players and characters weren't that great. A direct clash often relied on each individual player's own skill to be effective. But against Happy, Thunderclap unexpectedly launched an aggressive attack. No one would regard Happy as a weak team anymore. The return of Ye Zhu and Su Mucheng, the class-changed Fang Rui, these three all-stars had proved that their skills were still at the peak. In terms of individual player skill, even Seo Shichin, who was the best in Thunderclap, didn't seem a match to any of Happy's top three. However, Thunderclap had bravely rushed at Happy, an unprecedented aggressiveness. They had never done this against any other team. Why? Every person who followed Thunderclap this season asked this question. While no one else in the alliance dared to underestimate Happy, Thunderclap did the very opposite. Was this a psychological tactic? You're coming to us. Are you underestimating Happy? Ye Zhu asked. Of course not. Seo Shichin, who was already charging over, replied. Then it looks like we'll need to be careful. Ye Zhu said. You always need to be careful in a match, Seo Shichin said. In the team chat, he gave another order, scatter. Thunderclap had spread into a line and surrounded Happy in a wing-like formation. On the left end was Dai Yankee's Elementalist Firebird Messenger. On the right end was Seo Shichin's Mechanic, Life Extinguisher. These two were at the very tip of the wings as if they were going to escape. Positioned in the middle was Cheng Tai's Grappler, Shattering Wind, and Zhang Jiaxing's Cleric, Returning Wind, was between Shattering Wind and Firebird Messenger. Between Life Extinguisher and Shattering Wind was Fang Zuke's Assassin, Demon Talent. Thunderclap is being very proactive. They've quickly pulled apart into a formation very skillfully. Did they practice this specifically for Happy? What your thoughts on this formation, Coach Lee? Pan Lin had restrained himself for a long time, but he was still a passionate commentator in the end. Thunderclap had chosen an unprecedented aggressive offense. This surprising choice instantly riled him up. He excitedly shouted and dragged Li Yibo into the water as well. Li Yibo was in an awkward spot. He hadn't even figured out why Thunderclap would choose to go on the offensive against Happy, when Pan Lin directly asked him to explain Thunderclap's offensive formation. This. WuxaWorldAudio.com. It looks like they're planning on surrounding Happy and then shrinking the circle. Li Yibo snorted. But Happy isn't lacking in attackers. Pan Lin immediately answered back. Thunderclap surely has a method to deal with them. Let's see what they're going to do. Li Yibo was finally able to dodge this topic. These two could pass over it with some vague words, but Ye Zhu, who was playing on stage, couldn't be so unclear. Seo Shichin's decision for an aggressive offense had surprised him. He said, being underestimated, but he knew that Seo Shichin wasn't that type of person. Even when facing Seaside or Bright Green, the two weakest teams practically guaranteed to be relegated from the league, Thunderclap still carefully planned out their strategy. Seo Shichen wasn't someone who underestimated his opponent. If he dared to attack aggressively, then it could only mean he was confident that it would work, that in a direct confrontation, Thunderclap would have a greater chance of winning than Happy. Their chances of winning didn't come from their players or characters individually. It was publicly acknowledged that Thunderclap was weak in this area. Thunderclap's chances of winning came from their tactics. For example, their team must have spread out for a purpose. But for what purpose? It wasn't just Yishu asking this question. However, no one else's judgment was more accurate than Yishu's because Yishu knew better than anyone else who the weak point of their team was. Lord Grim retreated to Little Cold Hand's side. Group up, towards. Yishu typed. He wanted to have everyone group up and break through an opening in Thunderclap's formation. But when he swept his eyes across their formation, he discovered that he wasn't able to find such an opening. Thunderclap's 5 characters were in a very simple line, but they used each of their classes well, allowing for the best possible options from any direction. If Happy tried to break through, they would be met with a lot of trouble no matter which direction they went towards. There were no clear holes or weaknesses. Breaking through from any point would be troublesome, which also meant that breaking through from any point would be the same. Firebird Messenger. Breakthrough. Yishu had only hesitated for an instant. He quickly made a firm decision. As soon as Happy heard the order, their decisiveness in carrying it out was not much worse than Thunderclap's. Oh, we've been underestimated. Happy's intentions were clear. Dai Yankee, who was controlling Firebird Messenger, used Yishu's own words from before. Happy had clearly chosen this direction to break through because they thought it would be easier to do so. But this is all according to plan. Dai Yankee followed. When she said these words, everyone's hearts thumped. No one thought Thunderclap would just rashly attack. They felt like Thunderclap must have an ulterior motive. Dai Yankees, all according to plan, immediately confirmed this notion. Whether or not the viewers believed in it wouldn't affect who won this match. Dai Yankee's words were aimed as a psychological attack towards Happy. However, even if Happy believed her, it was probably too late for them to make adjustments. That was what most people thought, but on stage were a particularly special group of people amongst the countless glory players. Dang, that girl said it's all according to plan. We should find a different breakthrough point. Wei Chen said. Sure, Yishu said. As a result, Happy really did make a switch. Everyone turned towards Seo Shichen's life extinguisher instead of Dai Yankee's Firebird Messenger. Fuck. The viewers were dumbfounded. This was a high-level pro match. You guys are just going to switch up your tactics because the opponent said a few words. Where's your determination, decisiveness, confidence? End chapter.